Are you talking to people
Yeah.
at 9?
All right. So this is episode 22, right?
Episode 22 of UBI, episode 21 just got published. So go ahead and check that out if you haven't, if if you're caught up with all the other episodes, or even if you're not, just listen to whatever. If you're listening out there, it doesn't matter. You don't have to do these in order. Um, so
Exactly. So, man is gonna have all the time in the world now to devote to the podcast. He
I know.
swore he swore up and down last week that, you know, they ain't gonna settle.
Yeah. The case is settled, and I have a lot
Everyone
more
is happy.
time now to just I don't even know what to do with my life, to be honest. It's funny, like when you finish a big project, you're happy, but you're also a little depressed. It's like something left, you know what I mean? Like you were nurturing something and now it's gone. It's like when you finish a book or like a long series on Netflix or something, you're like it's a little sad. Um I was like, nah, that be I.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. I'm sorry, I can identify with that.
But you
I
don't
mean,
watch like TV series or anything.
yeah, I'm thinking conceptually, I kind of get it. The thing is, when I'm done with a work project, I think I used to probably feel what you described, but these days, I'm just like, oof, okay, good.
Thank
Now
God.
I can really sleep and just have time to do nothing. Like I'm appreciating just the idea of not having to um, just be on the go
Yeah,
all the time. Anyway, I'm appreciating, like I appreciate that more and more these days. Like,
yeah. I
I think I've learned, and I'm still learning, but I've probably learned a little bit to some degree how to enjoy doing nothing and not feel like I'm not productive just because I don't have like a big project to do, or like I'm not working 18-hour days.
Yeah, no, I hear that, and I'm usually pretty good. I'm pretty good at being an advocate for doing nothing and not feeling any guilt about it. I think it's just more like you've been focusing on it for so long. At least with this case, it's like we were doing this for years, and then for it to just end in an
So
email,
anticlimactic. Like it's kind of
it's
like
just
it's
like,
one thing
huh?
if you saw what was coming down the line, like you know what I'm saying, like and then
Yeah,
you saw the light at the end of the tunnel, like okay, this is gonna happen or that
yeah.
is gonna
This is when it finishes. I mean, we were expecting, obviously you go through trial, and then, they give out the opinion, and there's all this like post-trial briefing and all this stuff. So like we were expecting for this thing to go on for months. And it's just all of a sudden it just ends. I mean, like I'm happy, don't get me wrong. I'm not like, oh man, I wish I was working right now. But it's still like that's it. Like what? Like that's it. Like none of it matters anymore. It all just goes away.
see.
Yeah,
I
it's
feel like
crazy.
that's probably something that you should tell to people, like whenever you get a chance to like talk to, I don't know, law students or young associates. It's funny how you are not necessarily considered a young associate anymore,
I
and
know, it's
that guy
crazy.
giving advice. But
I still
but I think one thing that people don't, it's like nothing matters, man. The
just go to
thing,
law schools and tell them nothing matters, y'all.
nothing
Stop.
matters. Like none of these things. Like you spend all that time in law school. It doesn't matter. You don't have to do that. You spend all that time reading and trying to like get good grades. Nah, you should try and spend most of your time clocking, or just having fun, going to the corner. Like like you should spend
Enjoy
more
yourself.
time.
Enjoy that you're not working. No, I think that's hilarious. I, I would say, like, if I had to really talk to like a law student about law school, I think, like, I would just say do it if you really want to. First of all, only go to law school if you want to be a lawyer. Don't do it for any other reason. It doesn't make any sense. But if you want to be a lawyer, one thing I say is just make sure you want to be a lawyer, but then while you're there, just do it to learn it. Like, and don't, it's easier said than done, but don't stress over things. Like some people had really healthy perspectives. I found that people who worked first seem to have like healthier perspectives about law school. You know, like I remember there was one person who I think at the time, this person was like 26, but like to me at 22, it seemed like this person was so wise, and they had been out in the work world for like 4 years and all this stuff. And I know you were an older law student and stuff too, but like I think people like you and this other student had it in perspective. Like he would just do his work, and he'd be like, yeah, you know, I work from like 9 to 5, and then I just do whatever I want after that. And it was just like so practical, and it wasn't fear induced. It was just like, yeah, you just learn the stuff and then you take a test.
It's interesting, even for people that just had maybe 1 or 2 years of, even someone like, I mean, I don't want to name drop people, someone like Trey, right?
I feel like we say that every episode. Like, I don't want to name drop people, but Trey in Atlanta.
But then we name drop Trey all the time. We need to
Trey's got to come on the episode. He's got to come on the podcast.
Yeah,
he'd be hilarious.
But yeah, but he had great perspective. But also he knew what he wanted to get out of grad school. You know, like he knew what he wanted to get out coming in. And yeah, so he was someone that was young, I suppose, and but he was also mature about his approach. Like he wasn't like, but to be fair, I don't know if that is fair because Trey is just chill. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he used law school in a different way than most people would use it. He kind of used it as a backdoor to business school. So law school didn't matter to him. You know, so it didn't matter at all, like how well he did, or to him, he's just like, I'm just using this so then I can get into business school. So
yeah, like he had a specific goal, and he just followed. Yeah, so maybe, but yeah, I mean, but you're right. But you know,
yeah, like the person I'm thinking of made law review, but like I swear their approach wasn't fear induced and like stressing out, because I studied with this person. I won't name drop, but I really want to.
Yeah, you don't have to name drop, but I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I mean, this person was super chill and just had the right perspective, because this person knew they wanted to be a lawyer. They were doing it for the right reasons, and it just wasn't, you know. Yeah, I mean, it was work, but it's just like, man, law school was so much easier than real work. I would love to go back and just have to read 4 cases a day or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, and the other part that I feel like people should also know is that what you learn there actually doesn't mean matter. Anything. Like,
nope.
Or practice, whether you want to be a lawyer or not. Like, you can go learn contracts, and it will teach you how to understand contracts and law. Hell no. Like, you don't know anything about how contracts work in real life or how we draft them. Like, it's not going to prepare you for it. Like, you actually better just, I don't know, just like taking an online class about contracts. Like,
no, I mean, the funny thing is, like, what people probably don't understand is like all this stuff you learn in law school. Like, I'm Googling it as a practicing attorney, like trying to relearn shit, because it's like you don't remember any of it. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, oh, that concept, I vaguely remember that. That's all law is, about looking shit up.
Let me ask you a concept. I mean, you are a lawyer now, so novation.
Oh Lord, novation. Is that's something about a contract like no longer being valid or something? Is that right?
Exactly. Like, I mean, it's
novation. Man, I had to do so much contract research for this case, and it was my worst subject in school. I just don't get contract law. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand damages. It just doesn't make sense. And I had to write motions on this shit.
Novation is basically when you allow somebody else to kind of like, you allow the substitution of a new party to a contract, essentially.
Oh yeah, I remember that from the bar. I don't remember that from law school. Like law school contracts made no sense. I don't remember anything, and I just got by, I guess. But yeah, if you want to be like a transactional attorney, none of that stuff you learn in contracts matters. Like the stuff you did where you're drafting contracts, they don't teach you the anatomy of a contract.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, even if you're a transactional attorney, law school doesn't still help you. Like,
No, it has nothing to do with. That's why I kind of hated being a transactional attorney because I was like, this isn't being a lawyer. This is this is something else. It's not a bad thing. It just has nothing to do with what I was learning for 3 years. Like, why? What is the point? There's no logical leap to this shit. So yeah,
so
I was not a fan.
it's funny you said that, because I've always said that transactional law is bullshit. Like, you don't need to, whatever that is, right? Like,
Right.
you don't need to go to law school for that. Like, maybe you need to go to a certain kind of school to
Right.
teach you what that is, but it ain't law school.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not business school. It's not law school. I don't know what the hell it is. I remember the first time you have to actually do this shit. You're like, wait, none of this seems familiar at all. I remember remember that class we took. It was like on a Saturday.
Oh,
What was it called? Mergers and acquisitions, but like the
yeah,
practical version of it.
yeah.
Yeah, M&A. Man, I don't know what happened in that class. I wrote something on the exam. Somehow I got a B plus. So that must have meant everyone.
Yeah,
I don't
everybody.
know what
I
happened in
think
that
I got
class.
an A minus in that class. One of the
That would
few.
make sense because if I got a B plus, like the curve must have been at an A or something. I don't know, an A minus. Like
You know,
I have no idea what I did on that. I just wrote shit down, and that's when I knew I hated transactional law. I was like, okay, I'm not doing this.
yeah.
This isn't what I'm doing. And like with litigation, being in law school really does teach you. I know this sounds cliche. It does teach you how to think like a lawyer. And thinking like a lawyer, with the stuff you learn in law school, that's applicable to a litigator. That's it. It's not applicable to drafting contracts, doing due diligence, none of that shit. Like, make another school for those people.
Everything in life.
Oh man, yeah, I totally agree. I agree. Yeah. So what have you been up to? How minus the anticlimactic end to your lawsuit, to your case?
Yeah, I know.
What is?
I, I've been what have I been doing? I've just been trying to like just chill this weekend, really. Like, it's funny. When I had like when I was busier with work, I almost felt like I was. Well, it's only been like a day, but it's like once I stopped doing that, like almost everything else fell off the waist onto the wayside too. Like even working out, I'm like, I'm not gonna run today. I've been running a lot and stuff this year, and I was actually keeping up with it when I was really busy. But it's almost like as soon as that stopped, everything else stopped, and I just like wanted to take a nap. Got it? Like, so I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I just needed a day to decompress, or a couple of days.
Yeah. So there is this clip that, as you know, my own version of watching trash TV is essentially watching random YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
There is this clip that that I saw, this black girl that moved to
Hmm.
France, and I think she initially did like an MBA in Paris and then stayed behind, and she was talking about dating, and she had
Hmm.
this list of 7 strange ways, in her own words, of how French men have approached her. So I want to play, and I feel like we should probably play each each one and maybe call BS and and
All
just
right.
judge the stories. Oh boy, we're gonna get canceled.
That's all good. Might as well. I ain't got nothing else to do.
Yeah,
Get canceled. It's
yeah, we're
fine.
gonna get canceled. Like, we're gonna get fired. We'll be like, okay, let me share this screen so that Okay, dame un minuto. Bueno. All right, can you see that?
Yep.
Bueno.
Y'all better come get these Frenchmen. And for all things about life in Paris as told by an American who's living here, make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so that you're notified whenever I post a new video. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, I'm Tiff. I'm an American living in Paris, here to help you navigate life in Paris, navigate life abroad, help you jump outside of your comfort zone and successfully set up your life on your own terms in a new country. I'm here to help you with all of that. So I know you peeped the title to this video. So first and foremost, I do want to say this is no so this happened last summer, and it was during a time where I ordered a bunch of stuff from the Paris sales. Like, I was just going crazy. I definitely splurged. And I got a call that my packages were downstairs, that the delivery guy was here. So I go downstairs, sign, grab my packages and come back upstairs. And I'm going through everything. And I get a text from the delivery guy. And at first I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe he, forgot to give me something. I look at the text message and this is what it says. J'ai peur de vous dire en face, vous très belle, which means I was scared to tell you to your face that you're very beautiful. Sir, I was like, what is going on? So that was one crazy way that a man has approached me, a French man has approached me.
That's the story. What do you think about that?
Interesting. So she ordered food. The guy gave her the food and then went away and then texted her. Is that right?
Yeah, like it was. I don't even know.
Like an Uber Eats guy in France. Les Uber Eats.
I don't even know if it was food. It was more like, she ordered whatever food, like delivery, and the delivery guy, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I mean, look, I don't know. I mean, look, I'm not.
Okay, so this is where I'm going with it. Is that scandalous? I guess, because
what is she trying to say? Is she just trying to say it's funny, or is she actually like legitimately trying to say it's?
She is saying like, this is, oh my God, super weird, and like,
is she saying it's like sexual harassment? I don't know. I mean,
we could have canceled, yo. I don't think she's saying it's
it's like, am I just trying to get canceled for? I shouldn't even say that. I'm just like, if she said that, then she needs to. I
don't think she's going that far. I think.
Okay. I mean, is it weird? I don't know. I mean, the thing is, I don't know. I feel so far removed from like dating and like all that stuff now. It doesn't seem that weird to me. I mean, the guy's shooting his shot. He's doing it in a way that it's safe for her. It's not like, he's anywhere near her. He's just like saying, hey, look, I think I thought you were beautiful. She could easily ignore it. It could be flattering for her. She could still ignore it. It could be flattering and she could still ignore it. She could think it's weird and ignore it. But yeah, it seems pretty innocuous to me.
Yeah, so that's what I thought as well. I think it would have been interesting to have maybe like a woman to discuss.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I'm saying? Because it will be interesting to see a woman's perspective on this. You know what? Let me see if I can text Aiitt to come on.
Tell Aiitt to get on. I love how we've never interviewed anyone who's not a Black woman. I don't know why. I just like that dynamic. I like.
That's true. Maybe we need some diversity in here.
I'm trying to think of like who we would. Well, I mean, there are people we could reach out to for sure, but for some reason, I like the Black female perspective. But I don't know. It would be, to me, it's like, it's something that, I mean, it is something to talk about, I guess. You could, but it's more like just entertaining people to discuss it. But I wouldn't say it's life or death or.
You wouldn't say it's life or death.
That's strange. I don't think it's that strange. I mean, how else but then again, I don't know. Like, is that weird? Like, how do people reach out to people and say they're interested in someone?
Exactly. So that's the thing, right? Like, I guess maybe one way would be whatever. I mean, if you I don't know, met someone, say at a restaurant or bar or something, that would be one way. This just seems
Yeah.
like one way where somebody already happened to have your contact just based on the virtue of their job. You could say that is unprofessional. Maybe that's one thing to say, hey,
Yeah.
you can use that contact for those purposes. And I think so that was where I was going, like, maybe from the perspective of a single woman, I don't know, it may just feel like, oh my God, this person, you know what I'm saying? This person has my
Right.
contact. And if
Like
you're
I
not,
can't even order, tacos without this guy, you know,
yeah,
can I just
exactly.
be a person? You know what I mean? Like I'll never have to worry about that. Like I ordered something on Friday and I never thought the delivery guy was gonna text me once I got back and I'm like, hey man, I just want to let you know, like I think you're really beautiful.
Wouldn't that be
Like,
funny?
like that never crossed my mind. Like even if it's a woman, like you know what I mean? Like I don't even if it was a woman, I would never expect her to be like, hey man, like I just want you to know I think you're beautiful. That's just never crossed my mind. So I get that too. It's like I just want to be a person because I always struggle with this, like because I'm not a woman and I'm not a heterosexual woman, so I don't deal with heterosexual male energy coming at me. Um, you know, but I'm someone who doesn't like talking to strangers at all. So, when
Right.
people be like, "Oh man, I'm just trying to talk to her," it's like, yeah, but if I were her, I wouldn't want to just talk to you. Like leave me alone. That's really why I don't like catcalling. It's really just because it involves talking to a stranger and receiving a compliment. Two of the most awkward things that you can experience at once. And I put myself in the woman's perspective in that way. But then again, the question is, well, then how do you talk to women? I mean, I think nowadays they have so much stuff on with technology. Like maybe people prefer doing things through like an app as opposed to just like on the street. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move
Me.
on.
And I was like, first of all, you just delivered my packages, meaning you know where I live, which is kind of creepy. And then two, like not you using your company phone, like your business phone, like the delivery man phone to try and flirt with me over text message. Like, ooh, it was so weird. It was so weird. I was like, oh my God. And I think I immediately like blocked the number and was just like, this is really creepy. But yeah, I thought that was a really weird way for someone to.
So that kind of goes to what we were saying, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
obviously she wasn't feeling the contact. That's one, and two, it's just like, oh my God, you have my contact, you know where I live. And
Yeah.
so that's where it kind of like gets real, like, oh, you know.
Yeah, now she has to move and all this shit. Like, just like it's just like, I mean, as a woman, that's a lot to deal with,
Exactly.
and also it is unprofessional to use Amazon's number to like
It's
the
funny
one that
because
you're
I
supposed to.
know it's Amazon. Like,
You know what I mean? But like, I don't care who it is. But like, like the same text you get that says, "Hey, your package is here," is also like, "Hey, you look beautiful." Like, I just want to let you know. Like, I mean, come on, man. That's
yeah.
ridiculous. So, but also, I don't know what delivery service he's using, but should he be having her? Yeah, I don't know. That's weird. Is she supposed to text that the guy back to the company phone? I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Anyway, let's move on.
And actually, I posted the story on Instagram, and a few of my followers had said that they've actually had a similar experience, or their friend has had an experience. So, But this is the first time that I got like hit on by a delivery guy. But yeah, y'all, be careful out here. All right, so this next guy, we're gonna call him Big Pimpin'. So I was actually in this area. I was walking home from a French lesson, and just minding my own business. And I hear this car start to slow down behind me. And I'm just kind of like, this is kind of weird. But, maybe they're parking, going into a store around here. So the guy puts his car in park. It was a very nice car, by the way. That's why I call him Big Pimpin'. And I hear him start calling out, bonjour, bonjour, bonjour. And I'm like, I don't think this man is talking to me. So I just keep walking. And then he keeps saying, bonjour, bonjour, bonjour. And I was like, all right. So I turn around and he's like, yeah, like you. And I was like, oh, okay. So I go to his car. I see he's kind of older, like in his 50s. So I'm like, okay, maybe maybe he just needs help with something. Maybe he doesn't know the area that well. Maybe he's looking for, a store around here or whatever. So I'm like, bonjour, like, what do you need? And I kid you not, this man looks me up and down and says, where are you from? Do you live around here? What are you doing around this area? I was like, no, sir. Absolutely not. And immediately I was like, désolé, désolé, je suis pressé, which means like, sorry, I'm in a rush. And I fled. I was like, no, this man is not going to try and hit on me from his car. Like, what?
Okay.
So that
was that story. Like, what?
I know you have so many opinions, but that okay you have said was so loaded. I've known you long enough to know what your opinion is based off that okay.
Stories.
Was that person you? You're like, what is the big deal?
It's like, that's me.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Yeah, yeah, I mean, look, again, it goes back to this. This one is a little. This is so the delivery guy. I understand that there's and I feel so awkward being a man explaining this. Like, this feels wrong. You're like, who cares what my opinion is?
Go ahead and yourself.
I have no experience in this at all. So I will admit, full disclosure, I have no idea what I'm talking about. But if you just want to talk about, my initial reaction as a straight man who's never dealt with this and has very limited experience, but yeah, I mean that's more. So so I'm really curious about your opinion, Io. I'm so glad that you're on now. You saving me from whatever horrible opinion I was about to say.
Oh my God! So I'm driving. So this is gonna be a little ghetto, but we can make it work.
Are you driving or are you in your car? Because we need you not to be podcasting on the freeway.
So to tell you what we were talking about, I'm just gonna get into it. I don't know, Manny, you're trying to like be somebody's daddy here. So
God, y'all gonna get in trouble with the listeners.
yeah. So I had found this clip about this girl. She's based in France. She's American and she had studied there, and she's talking. Oh, so she dropped off.
Oh, we lost Io. I'll tell you what Io was about to say. I think she'd be like, "Well, I think."
All right,
she's back there.
Yeah, she's back.
All right.
So
I'm back.
Yeah. So basically, she lives in France, and she's talking about the way she described it is strange ways that men have approached her, right? In France, like Frenchmen. So, Manny is a little skeptical about some of these stories.
Okay, so Lai is the most skeptical. If I'm a little skeptical, he's the most.
Okay, so I'm okay. I'm gonna let y'all finish.
I'm gonna play the most recent one we just listened to, and just I'm curious what is sketchy or wrong about this.
Got it.
So exactly. So give me a second here.
Bonjour. And I'm going to start to slow down behind out here. All right, so this next guy, we're going to call him Big Pimpin'. So I was actually in this area. I was walking home from a French lesson and, just minding my own business. And I hear this car start to slow down behind me. And I'm just kind of like, this is kind of weird. But, maybe they're parking, going into a store around here. So the guy puts his car in park. It was a very nice car, by the way. That's why I call him Big Pimpin'. And I hear him start calling out, bonjour, bonjour, bonjour. And I'm like, I don't think this man is talking to me. So I just keep walking. And then he keeps saying, bonjour, bonjour, bonjour. And I was like, all right. So I turn around and he's like, yeah, like you. And I was like, oh, okay. So I go to his car. I see he's kind of older, like in his 50s. So I'm like, okay, maybe he just needs help with something. Maybe he doesn't know the area that well. Maybe he's looking for, a store around here or whatever. So I'm like, bonjour, like, what do you need? And I kid you not, this man looks me up and down and says, where are you from? Do you live around here? What are you doing around this area? I was like, no, sir. Absolutely not. And immediately I was like, désolé, désolé, je suis pressé, which means like, sorry, I'm in a rush. And I fled. I was like, no, this man is not going to try and hit on me from his car. Like, what? So that was another very strange interaction.
Okay, so am I missing something?
Objection, leading question. Anyway.
Yeah, okay. So you guys don't think that's weird?
I didn't say that. I just want to hear your opinion first.
Okay, because I had to pull over because I was like, look.
Oh boy.
Well, okay, so let me say this. I kind of feel like I would need to watch more of her videos to get just like her general vibe. But like my thoughts, as soon as she said she's walking, right? Walking randomly as a woman, you already feel like super vulnerable because someone can snatch you up off the street, hit you, whatever, right? So she's walking. As soon as she said she heard a car started to slow down, my heart is like doom doom, doom doom, right? Because at the end of the day, I think that like you can't think about it as just an interaction of someone's in a car, someone's walking. It's already like you feel vulnerable just walking down the street, and you're, like we have all these things that we do, right? Like from holding your keys in your hand to make sure you can like punch somebody with your key if they attack you, to acting like you're listening to music so people don't talk, all these different things, right? So setting that scenario up, then you see a car slowing down because what? They're like, I don't even know how many people are in the car, right? What if somebody jump out of the boot and like grab me and throw me in the car? All of these things are running through our minds, right? And so, granted, the situation ends up being not like a flight or flee kind of situation. It's almost like as a woman, I hate when guys do things that like feel really scary, dangerous to hit on you, because now I've gone into like super defense, like I might die mode, and you're just trying to like holler, like fuck you. No, I don't want to talk to you. Like leave me alone, get away from me. Okay, so I think
that makes sense.
That's probably the situation where I would be like, okay, this is weird. Yeah. Now, if one of my homies saw me, or someone who knows me saw me, and like that entire interaction is very different, right? Because it's someone at least I'm familiar enough with, but because it's a stranger, it's really creepy. And like you can tell in that situation, that guy is not thinking about, wow, this woman probably feels extremely unsafe and all of that. Because the only way to salvage that is maybe, you pull up the car and then try to walk up to her with your hands showing, right? But it's already, honestly, it's just too much. If you're driving and you see a girl and she cute, keep driving. Like that's really
let me so I think that was what, that was exactly why I was like, there is a perspective that we're
missing. It's like we're white guys talking about the police, and you're like a black guy who just came on.
Why didn't they just say?
It's like I'm thinking about this. I got to show my hands, and white guys are just stunned.
So
like,
let me ask you,
never thought about that.
So what is? I think you started to talk a little bit about what is the proper approach here? Is it that if you don't?
I mean, to be honest, don't approach.
That's right? That's what I'm thinking, because and I don't know.
I feel like guys be so pressed. Like it's never that deep, right? Like you don't ever have to approach a woman.
Oh, no,
especially.
I know you don't have to, but I'm just saying if you wanted to.
Could he have salvaged it, right? Like
like if you wanted to talk to, you don't have to. But say if you wanted to talk to her, the same scenario, you were driving in the car. And you wanted to talk to her,
right? Like I think that trying to think of, because I think that the minute I started talking about like the safety vulnerability angle, I think that most non-asshole men understand it, right? Mm-hmm. And so then the question now becomes, if you're thinking about that scenario, how do you try to make that woman feel comfortable and safe, right? Like, because I hear this guy pulling up in his car, I'm thinking danger, danger, danger. How quickly can this guy try to make, because if my heart is beating really fast because I think I'm about to die, like now I realize, oh, you're just trying to holler at me, but that feeling doesn't go away very quickly. You know what I mean? It's kind of like someone puts a gun in your head and oh, it's a toy gun. Okay, yeah, but my heart rate is still going off.
Okay, so let me ask you.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Is the fact that the guy was in his 50s, does that add to the creep factor?
Wait, was he in his 50s? Is that true?
He said he was in his 50s. I mean, I think
Yeah,
she
that was-
probably added the 50s part because it made him that less of an option for her. You know what I mean? Like,
That's
I
what-
don't think that made me feel less or more, that would make me feel less or more safe.
Okay.
But it's kind of
It
like,
probably-
it would be. It
Oh,
would be
I'm
like
sorry.
if she described him as some ugly dude, you know, like oh, this ugly dude, like it's like if Shamar Moore was slowing down his do all of these things, but it's Shamar Moore
So
or a man who looks like him but isn't famous, it's a little different, right? Because all these things are nuanced, right? But
Mhm.
so if it's someone who like is good looking, and she calls him big famous, so he's good looking, age appropriate man in a nice car does that. And then this is why, good looking people can really do a lot of damage as serial killers because people aren't as threatened by them or might be more willing to speak to them. I think that the situation would have been the same, but like she could have stayed open-minded a minute more, right? And that could have made the difference. Like, okay, and then I decided to go to dinner with him. You know what I mean? So I think that does matter, but not really in the sense that it makes her feel more or less safe. Just that it's like somebody you really just didn't want.
Got it. Okay, so let's go to the next story.
With a French guy. So now moving on to the next guy. So we're going to call this guy barbershop, or the scenario, the barbershop, because it happened in a barbershop / hair salon. So I was in Chateau d'Eau. So you guys have probably heard me talk about Chateau d'Eau so many times. So it's basically where you can find the African hair braiding salons, the barbershops.
Yep.
You can get all of your black hair care products and all of that fun stuff. So I was in a hair salon in Chateau d'Eau. I think it was like my very first year living here because I remember I really did not know a lot of French.
By the way, I will say that I love how she pronounces stuff. Chateau d'Eau.
Oh Lord, here comes the elitism.
So intimidating. And I remember having to explain something to her, and she was just not getting it at all because she didn't speak English. So she brought her friend over, which was this guy, to help translate. So he was really sweet, helping me translate what I needed to say. And then this man starts flirting with me, like, oh, you're very beautiful, all of this stuff. And I was cracking up inside because literally, insert picture here, half of my hair was in cornrows and half of my curls. Like it was like I was like, no, this man is not trying to holla with me looking crazy right now. Like I just thought it was the funniest thing. So anyways, he then asked for my number and I was just kind of like, oh, this is awkward because of course he's really good friends with my hairdresser. And I was like, because he's good friends with my hairdresser. She's hearing everything go down. And I was just like, Lord Jesus. So I was like, fine, we can exchange numbers. And afterwards, he tried to get his little flirt on, ask me out and all this stuff, but I just wasn't really having it. But I just thought it was so funny. Like this man is really going to try and holla with me having half of my hair done, looking crazy. I was like, this is so funny. But yeah, he really tried to shoot his shot, but I was like, no, sir.
All right. That story.
So this story, I think this is one of those that like the country and the language and all of that is really irrelevant to like the exact context, like, so what makes this, so there are two kinds of women when it comes to men approaching them when they look like shit. Most women I know, and my friends and I talk about this all the time, there's something about, like, just for example, right now, right? Like, usually when I come on the podcast, I look different, right? Like, this is me, like, about to drive to my sister's house. I am tired. My hair looks crazy. This is not how I normally roll up on the podcast, right? Right now, I feel like I'm in my, I'm kind of bummy, right? The only difference, I don't have sweatpants on, right? I'm a little bummy. So a lot of women, a lot of my friends and I talk about how when we get hit on, when we look really bummy, we don't like it. Some women like it because it's like, oh man, imagine, you think I'm cute now. Imagine when I look nice, right? That's so in that, if you think about it like that, then it's a compliment because it's like, wow, inner beauty and all this shit, right? Whereas where I think a lot of my friends, and maybe this is probably her perspective, is, and I think about these things, I think about a lot of things a lot. So that's why I have this opinion of it. But I think she's probably not even really thinking about it this much, or most people don't. I think that when you look like shit and someone tries to holler at you, it's like, oh, you think this is cute? Ew, your standards are too low. I know that doesn't make sense, really, right? Because it's like it's still me, but there's just something about like it sounds really dumb, but when you look when you're bringing like nothing, right? Like you're putting like your worst foot forward and somebody's interested in that. Low key, I'm like, oh, you like bummy chicks, right? It's like that's not even the real me. And I know it sounds really weird, whatever. But anyway, so I think that like
that's the real you.
That actually, yeah, exactly. Like men,
yeah, but nobody wants to
men,
believe you think we think that that's the real us? No, that's not the real me. I'm cute.
like men prefer to know what you actually look like.
I know.
Like y'all think like the
there's a
real me
reason-
is like, no, we don't want all that extra shit. We want to
I
know what
know.
you
Y'all
actually
say
look
that.
like.
Y'all say that, but
I mean, I mean, sure, we might prefer you done up if we're going to some fancy restaurant or whatever. But like at the end of the day, we need to know what we're dealing with, and like,
and y'all say that, right? But if three girls walk into
No. But this particular situation though. He
and she
already
didn't look bummy, by the
but-
way.
but,
She was
you
just
know,
getting her hair done.
I'm saying in
Yeah,
this particular
she doesn't feel cute. And again, the context of a lot of these things are he probably was not a very good looking or very appealing man, right?
So that was what I was
and-
going to get at. Sometimes, maybe at the end of the day, it's just a question of whether she also feels a certain way about him, right? Like if he,
Right.
like,
But
it's
that's
kind of
really more
mutual.
like pretty privilege. Like good looking guys can do all sorts of nonsense and hit on you and you'd be more okay with it than when not good looking guys do the same, the same. It's just like with women, right? Really pretty girls get away with a lot of shit that with guys, whereas like an average looking woman is like, you got to take me out on a $200 date, and they're like, girl, you're not that cute, right? But if a woman who looks like a model or whatever is like, oh, I only go out to Michelin star restaurants, guys, some guys are gonna be like, yeah, I don't got that kind of money, whatever. But a lot of guys are like, yeah, sure, no, of course, right? So I think that that's part of it. But I just
It's
I
okay.
don't think that a lot of women really like being hit on. Like, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I suspected that. I didn't know, but I was like, hey, being hit on doesn't seem like fun. And so I think it's just, it feels like it's an invasion of privacy and you're intruding on someone's space. And like for me, I know this is different, but I'm an introvert and like, I always put myself in their shoes. Like I would fucking hate that. But I have like friends who, I won't drop names, but just like, will hit on people. And it's just like, that stop, like leave them alone. Find some other avenue.
And I think that that's what it is, right? Like it's like the default situation is I should be able to get from my French lesson and walk to my apartment and nobody bother me, right?
Right.
And so once someone starts to bother me, it's already a problem, right? It's only in a very small percentage of situations that it ends up being okay because, oh, he's actually really good looking, or, oh, I was lost and he actually helped me get directions. But it's like, it's more so like, and it sounds bad because like, then I also like, I know a lot of my friends and I talk about how like, we don't really get hit on walking around really. And it's like, it would be nice to get hit on here and there, but it's actually okay. It's actually okay not to get hit on. Like, leave us alone. I think that's, that's probably the heart of it.
We're gonna call this one Love in the Club. And actually, if you watched my worst moments in you probably already know the story because I did talk about it in that video. But this actually happened when a really good friend of mine was visiting me and we decided to go out, have a little fun. So we go to this club, or I guess more so like a bar around Châtelet. And we're sitting down, again, I'm minding our own business. And there are these two guys that are dancing in front of us. And to be honest, like we didn't even know that they swung our way. We were not paying attention to them. Like we were just letting them do their little thing. And then I go upstairs to go to the bathroom. So I go to the bathroom and I'm on my way back down and I see one of the guys on the stairs. And it was literally like he was waiting for me to come out of the bathroom, which was super weird. And he looks at me and he's like, oh, you're so beautiful. Like, could I have your number? Could we exchange? And I was just like, Desiree, like, no, not really feeling it, And I head back downstairs and he's like, please, like, could we please exchange numbers? I'd love to get to know you. So I was like, you know what? Fine. How about you give me your phone number? Because at least he doesn't have my phone number and can't like hit me up all the time. So he was like, okay, perfect. So I take my phone out to put his number in my phone. All of a sudden, literally out of nowhere, this girl comes up to me and grabs my phone, like snatches it out of my hand. I was like, what is going on? And my friend's in the back, she's from New York. So she was like, wait a second, like, do I need to start throwing some elbows? Like, literally, it was like, what is going on? So I'm like, what is happening? And the security guard actually comes over and the girl gives me my phone back. And I was just like, literally, what just happened? I was so confused. But apparently, this was this man's little boo thing, little girlfriend. And I was like, what is going on? So I finally get my phone back and I'm talking to this man like, what the hell? And she comes back and grabs my arm. And I was just like, no, ma'am, like, what is going on? But literally before I could even say anything, the security guard grabbed her and took her out of the club. I was like, what is really happening? And I look at the guy who was trying to approach me like, sir, are you kidding me right now? And he gets down on his knees and he's like, I'm sorry. Like, and I was just like, no, sir. And I look at this man like, really?
All right. That story.
So that's just crazy on a bunch of different levels. That's not even.
Yeah.
Right, like
I will
sir, like go meet your girlfriend. Like, why are you? What are you doing?
that guy has a lot of problems.
Maybe it's me.
Why is
So,
he on?
I mean,
why is he kneeling on the ground? What is going on? It's just it's all.
I am being weird and dramatic. So, like this, I mean, obviously, we all know that this situation is weird, right? Like, we can all agree to that.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
I
even
will-
before the girlfriend showed up and grabbed the phone, it was weird.
Yeah.
So
So,
do
okay. So let's even. Yeah, I was gonna say, let's even assume the whole girlfriend grabbing phone that didn't happen, but you have someone waiting for you outside of the bathroom. That's kind of like super sketchy already.
That's sketchy. I think we just lost Io. I think she'll be back. I
Yeah.
think. I mean, look. I feel like. Depending on the context of a situation. So let's say the phone thing didn't happen. It's just a guy. Oh, wow. Okay, I was back. But it's just a guy hitting on someone in a club. I feel like context matters a lot. So I feel like, if you still want to do the old school, like meet someone in person, be somewhere where the context is this is a place where people go to like meet people and
Right.
like hook up. Like that like someone approaching you at a club or at a bar or even at a restaurant that's kind of like a late like Friday or Saturday night when everybody's drinking or whatever. Like that's nowhere
Yeah.
near as sketchy as like, hey, let me just like stop you as you're
For
walking
sure.
to a furniture store.
For sure.
Like-
For sure.
So,
But if they are waiting for you outside of the bathroom,
that's weird. But I'm talking about like there's ways to do it.
and,
And
I can't stand when people do it just out and about. Like I would be livid if anyone tried to talk to me, but I couldn't imagine being a woman who I could be harmed and these people are doing this. Like when you said the thing about like your heart beating, I was like, man, that just adds a whole nother level of just insanity to it.
yeah, no, I think that like trying to and like if I were a guy, first of all, if I were a guy, man, I would be especially with all the things that I know, because I feel like we getting hit on or like hitting on a woman, like a lot of that interaction doesn't have to be anything different from like think about how women talk to women, right? Like one, granted, we see another woman and we feel a lot safer, but like if a woman wanted to speak to another woman at a bar, she'd probably just like, oh my God, cute earrings, right? I mean, obviously a guy doesn't need to say, oh my God, cute earrings, but you would just start the conversation as opposed to like it would even be weird if another woman like follows a woman to like nearby the bathroom and says, hey, you seem really cool, we should be friends. Like that would be creepy, right?
Right.
And so take away, and then you now add on that it's a guy and it's like it's almost like obviously, at that moment, then you realize, oh my God, this person must have been observing me from the dance floor, sees me go to the bathroom, is now like, oh, now I'll follow her so we can have privacy. Even though, like, you can think of it like, oh, I'll follow her so we can have privacy. That doesn't sound creepy, but it's like, oh, let me follow her so I can have privacy and talk to her, and obviously partly, like, he did that because his girlfriend is, like, somewhere out here, right? So it's probably part of it. But, even guys without girlfriends do that, and I think oftentimes they don't really realize why it's a little weird and why it's like you saw me on the dance floor. You could have came by and like try to speak. I mean, obviously that's a little harder, but like I don't know. I mean, honestly, all these things are hard. It's not like I don't know exactly how I would, other than like trying to buy me a drink, like waiting for me to go by the bar and like to speak to me there. I'm not sure exactly what would be a good non-creepy way for a guy to like try to hit on me at a club. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, usually
I think I missed the bathroom part. So that actually happened in her story. I keep zoning out. I'm so sorry. Did he say that?
she like went to the bathroom and he like I think right after she came out of the bathroom is where the
I
guy
got
was.
distracted by him on the floor, to be honest. I think once he was kneeling on the floor, I kind of forgot a lot of the facts. But yeah, no, that is creepy. I'm not saying that that's not insanely
Yeah.
creepy. I want to make clear someone waiting for you outside of a bathroom. I'm talking about more like I see you, I approach you, we're on the dance floor or near the bar.
Yeah, I think those are
people around, not where it's like in a dark corner.
Right. Like,
oh, this isn't creepy at all.
Yeah, like
witnesses.
Let's hear the next story. I think we all agree that this one is super sketchy.
It's just it's weird for so many reasons.
All right, so moving on to the next guy, who we're gonna call him Mr. Bartender. And this is less of a weird interaction. It's more of like me taking the biggest L. Like I was like, dang, man, really? So anyway, so I was at this club. Well, it was kind of like a club / bar. It was actually on a boat in Paris, which was really, really cool. So me and my friends are all on this boat, and I started looking at the person and like, this man is cute. So, you know, I had already had my drink, so I was just kind of sitting there like flirting and talking to him. So he was fine. I'm not gonna lie, he was fine. So we're talking, I'm flirting with him. I'm also super, super tipsy, by the way. But he eventually asks for my number, and I'm just like, perfect, Tiff, you got this, girl. Like I'm all excited and everything. So we exchange numbers. I go home for the night, and then the next morning I'm like texting him like, hey, it was so nice to meet you. He's like, who is this? I was like, it's Tiff, the girl that you met at the bar last night. And he was like, oh, I don't remember you. He was like, can you send a picture? So I was like, okay. So I get all cute and like send a cute little selfie, and I send it to him. This man does not respond. Like literally, I send the picture.
Look at her face.
That's hilarious. So this is just basically what we're saying is ugly people can't get away with stuff that attractive people can.
It's all about looks. Like this guy obviously
and feel and vibe, but like mainly looks. But like it has a lot to do with just like these are things you can't explain. You know, like you have to be there. You have to experience what's going on and whether it feels okay or whether it doesn't feel okay.
Yeah.
So it's not just, maybe it's not just about looks, but it's just at least it is about how she feels about you. So
right, because you know sometimes we like men who are not that good looking, right?
Exactly. So if it's not that good looking, but you know you kind of like just enjoy for whatever reason, you just
and real talk, I think guys who are successful at like dating, especially like meeting people in person, you gotta know your strengths, right? Like you can't be out here. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're a 5, you can't move like a 9. Like you can't. It doesn't make sense, right? Men and women, right? It's the same thing where it's like.
Basically, you're saying you can pretend like you're on law review when you're actually on the tax review.
Just be self-aware. I
mean, like excruciatingly self-aware, right? Like so. For example, like some of the people that I've ended up dating that weren't like the most attractive people, it's because that like they didn't come at me and like, oh, you know, like, hey, here I am, Mr. Good Looking, what's up? It's more like start a conversation like, look, I'll talk to just about anybody. I'm an extrovert, right? If you start talking to me, I'm gonna talk to you, right? And then you get to know the person, you're like, oh, they're actually pretty cool. And then they make a move. But if you know, whereas if you look like, you know, Jamal Moore, you could roll up and hand me your phone and be like, girl, put your number in there. And I'll be like, okay. Because why? Like, there used to be a line.
If you're Shamar Moore, all of these stories are perfectly fine.
Exactly. Look, really, if you're Shamar Moore, you could break into my house with a ski mask on and be like, girl, give me your number, right? And I'll be like, you know what? Why not? I mean, not really.
That's the funny thing, right? If that bartender that she was talking about was that delivery guy, probably that story is different.
Yeah, if the bartender is any of these guys,
yeah, like
you know,
it's waiting for her to get a number outside of the bathroom. You know, Angela differently. She's like, oh, you know what?
Nice, perfect. I'll send you a picture. So, yeah, I don't know, but I mean, you know, clearly she's getting a lot of attention. She's also in a foreign country too. I feel like I mean, she's a black woman. She's very attractive. So I mean, they're probably freaking out over there because they don't see a lot of. I don't know if they see a lot of black women or whatever over there. And it sounds like these people are white, but I don't know.
My phone is getting hot, so I don't know if that's what was messing with stuff. But I just turned my car on and put the AC on, so
Your
maybe
phone.
that'll.
What is the what's the temperature there?
It's 75 degrees. I mean, I'm in the car and the windows are rolled up so that we're not getting any noise. So maybe it's hotter in the car.
35. Okay.
Yeah.
75,
Oh,
75.
75. Oh, damn.
Yeah, no, we're back to summer.
You're back to normal. Yeah.
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 I
Well,
wish.
I got to jump off the podcast. Ayo, thanks for coming on. I feel we need to finish this on the next episode. She has a few more stories. So,
Yeah, no, I'm happy to just give me a heads up so I can be cute and
I know.
not driving.
I'll give you a heads up next time. Like, we
Yeah.
just started this randomly. And I'm like, you know what? Before we hang ourselves here, we should probably get a woman.
Yeah,
Real
I'm
woman's
glad you
perspective.
did, because I would have listened and I would have been texting you like, y'all are dumb.
Yeah,
This
we need to
other
delete the
stuff.
first 20 minutes. We were assholes.
I mean, if y'all
Doesn't
gonna
even-
delete it, I want to hear it though, so I can clown
No,
y'all.
I guess we'll play it, whatever. Because people need to know ignorance. It was like, and then you came on and gave us like all these statistics. I'm like, oh man, that's a good point. I didn't think of that because I'm a man.
Happy to.
All right.
Oh man.
Well, we've come to the end of the show. And
We'll be back for part 2. So
Yeah.
listen up.
Alrighty.
All right, y'all. Take care.